From working inside the office to outside in the fields, today we're unfolding a simplified process to getting it done. Hi, I'm Theodore Henry. Welcome to today's pages of the island's most informative magazine program. Here's an invitation to continue turning the pages with us just by staying tuned.
How are you going down with that? You're moving?
No. I'm a passport, I come for renewing, you know. But you want me to show me no in that place full of crowd and the long line I take you all day. Make sure you walk with some food. And...
No, man, things improve, man. Them have a lot of drop box where you can use inside. It's finishing in no time.
Yeah,
man, I'm done.
Yeah. And some food, man. Try this. A drop box.
Transformation is happening across the public sector. Many services are now available online. We are building a better public service for all. Brought to you by the Transformation Implementation Unit.
Good day, I'm Stephen McHugh, and this is your JIS News for Wednesday, September 18. Prime Minister Andrew Holness says murders and shootings have dropped by 73% in Clarendon and St. Catherine since the September 5 declaration of the states of public emergency for those parishes. He says there have been 4 murders in the area when compared to the 15 that occurred the week before the imposition of the special security measure. In addition, 100 persons have been arrested and charged for various offenses within the first 7 days of the states of public emergency in the parishes.
The progress made within these police divisions must be allowed to continue. Mr. Speaker, we are fully committed to supporting our security forces as they seek to secure the peaceful existence, quality of life, and life itself for Jamaicans.
Despite the successes, Mr. Holness says St. Catherine and Clarendon accounts for 28% of all murders committed on the island. Between January 1 and September 11, Clarendon recorded 100 murders, while St. Catherine accounted for 166 killings. Police data show that the island recorded 948 murders between January 1 and September 16. There have also been 908 incidents of shooting for the same period. As he gave that update on Tuesday, the Prime Minister made the case for a 3-month extension of the states of emergency in St. Catherine and Clarendon. The House only agreed with a 1-month extension to October 19. In other news, Energy Minister Favour Williams is insisting that Cabinet's recent decision to place the core functions of the Petroleum Corporation of Jamaica in that ministry will improve the sector's efficiency. At Tuesday's sitting of Parliament, Minister Williams said the new management arrangement would also result in cost efficiency. She said the move would allow government to have a more comprehensive grasp of the nation's energy sector.
It will remove the disconnect that seems inherent in ministry-parastatal relationship. It will create synergies and completeness in the ability of the government to manage the energy portfolio. It will provide for one unified outfit for policy direction, program development, research and monitoring, and evaluation.
She says the ministry will be working with the Public Sector Transformation Implementation Unit to review and recommend any legislative changes that would give effect to Cabinet's decision. The unit will be assisting the ministry to review legal requirements for transferring all assets owned by Petrojam Ethanol Limited and Jamaica Aircraft Refueling Service to Petrojam Limited.
The ministry is being guided by the policy and principles that govern the transformation of public bodies, and we will work closely with the Transformation Unit and the staff of PCJ for a smooth transition into the ministry.
Still in Parliament Tuesday, Minister with Oversight for Education Carl Samuda has ordered an immediate investigation into reports of schools collecting teachers' fingerprints. He says the matter will be discussed with the Jamaica Teachers Association and the opposition spokesperson on education. Minister Samuda's statement follows reports that some corporate area schools had been using fingerprint technology to prevent teachers from falsifying punctuality and attendance records. Mr. Samuda says the schools are operating contrary to the law and written permission must be sought from the ministry before such a system is implemented.
While the ministry understands the need for an accurate record-keeping system, teachers cannot be compelled to provide biometric data, such as fingerprints, to schools. Section 3.1 of the Fingerprint Act directs that a person can only be compelled to provide fingerprints in specific criminal matters.
Minister Samuda is urging school administrators to utilize other mechanisms to monitor teachers' attendance. Transport Minister Robert Montego says Jamaica is far advanced on legislation to create a regulatory framework that will facilitate the licensing of bunker operators and their vessels. Minister Montego says the legislation is going through the final stages of the parliamentary process. It will be used to address matters relating to the International Convention for the Prevention of Pollution from Ships, MARPOL.
As a growing bunkering port in the Caribbean, the government of Jamaica believes that establishing and adhering to standards help the industry to strive. The Ministry of Transport and Mining, with the support of agencies such as the Maritime Authority, takes its responsibility to uphold standards seriously.
The minister was speaking recently at the opening ceremony for the Second International Bunker Industry Association IBIA Caribbean Bunker Conference. Work on the legislation follows the International Maritime Organization's requirements for contracting states to implement legislation specifying a cap on the sulfur content in marine fuel. And finally, the National Water Commission, NWC, says it will be rehabilitating 11 wells and pulling water from the Rio Cobre to meet the demands of customers in the corporate area.
It makes sense. It's a natural storage river. And so we are pursuing and at an advanced stage in completing to add to the network 15 million gallons of water per day that will come into the city coming from the west.
Mr. Barnett says this immediate medium-term exercise will also bring an additional 5 to 6 million gallons of water to the system.
When you add those two numbers, you're looking at an additional 1/3 of additional flow into the city. As a result of new water, so to speak. We are comfortable that those additional sources, which will also help to conserve the usage out of Mona Reservoir and at the Hermitage Dam, will take us up to 2040 in terms of supply. It gives us an additional 10-15 years to plan for additional sources to come into the city.
Mr. Barnett was speaking at a recent JIS think tank. He says long-term projects are being looked at to determine how to move water resources to other areas. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Stephen McHugh. Thanks for watching.
Imagine a year or two, or few, ago when you were starting your business. You remember the trips to several government offices and the long lines? Well, here's the simple difference between then and now. The electronic single window for trade. Now everything can be done all at once and without even moving from around your computer. Here's more on this IT platform.
Picture this. You're a busy entrepreneur working hard to grow your business. At the wharf to be cleared are the materials needed to make your products. You are required to visit several government offices and fill out multiple forms with similar information to complete this activity, spending time on the trading process that could otherwise be invested in your business. For you, this may just be a mental exercise, but for many entrepreneurs in Jamaica, it is the reality of trade. A reality that will change with the introduction of the Jamaica Electronic Single Window for Trade. An electronic single window ESW is an IT platform that facilitates the efficient clearance of cargo.
An electronic single window is expected to bring simplification, harmonization, and facilitation on international trade transactions under a robust electronic environment. This will bring facilities for customs brokers, government officials to interact with a computerized systems that will have a set of business rules that will allow the traders to fulfill all regulatory requirements, submit all the required data, and be able to complete their transactions in a single and seamless system.
With that electronic single window for trade, clearly it's an electronic form, and that will be filled out one time at your convenience, online, and then behind the scene, the BRAs, the Border Related Agency, will collaborate to ensure that your application is accepted.
The agencies connected to the system will be able to grant the necessary permits, licenses, and approval for the release of merchandise. When approval is given, the trader receives a notification and can then proceed to collect or send off goods. The introduction of an ESW will reduce the cost and time it takes to import and export goods, creating a more enabling environment for local entrepreneurs and foreign investors.
Where we can develop and implement a system where all the transactions can take place through a particular port or point or window in this instance, it makes doing business easier. By extension, therefore, it is expected that the interest in conducting business will be improved, will be increased, and investors will see Jamaica as an even more attractive investor destination. On the other side, it also will aid in the collection of revenue, where we can have a greater throughput of trade and of activity, which by extension generates even much more in terms of the economy.
Implementation of the ESW began in August 2018, and the timeline for completion is 36 months. Over 20 border and regulatory government agencies will connect to the platform. The entity responsible for collecting revenue from trade, the Jamaica Customs Agency, is the lead implementing agency.
The electronic single window system will be fully integrated, of course, with the Ascuda World system. They're both built on the Ascuda World platform. That information will be passed seamlessly from the electronic single window into the customs management system. And that, of course, reduces time and complexity, having a single point of contact and simplification of information. So that transparent environment, having that electronic track and trace, and of course, ensuring that persons are carrying out their functions within the agreed time frame.
The ESW is projected to reduce the number of entities a trader comes in contact with from as much as 5 to 1. In the future, this is how a trader could be making arrangements for the clearance of goods. The Jamaica Electronic Single Window, facilitating efficiency in trade, contributing to a robust business environment, a part of the framework for making it easier to do business with Jamaica.
It can even be that simple for doing businesses in agriculture. And speaking of, the expanding sector is seeing more and more women taking on the role of getting involved. Here's the journey of one.
I got into farming because my hobby was gardening. I was nuts about plants, flowers. So it was kind of a natural area to look for when I was looking for something to do. I started in an area that didn't have water, so I was not able to irrigate. And with climate change, it made things really, really unpredictable, very risky, and just difficult. So I don't consider myself as having really started farming until I moved into this agro park, where I was able to irrigate and do things in an optimal way.
Amity All is approximately 2,400 acres. We have 22 investors, 5 of which are female. The soil is predominantly Sydenham clay, and the crops that do well here, we have the cooker bits. That would include pumpkins, sweet potatoes, zucchini, squash. Also a few tubers do very well, sweet potatoes and cassava. Those crops do very well. We also have a lot of farmers who have gone into the Scotch bonnet pepper, and they're also doing very well. Once we manage the water application with the type of soil that we have and give proper nutrition, these crops do very well.
Life has been a learning experience primarily because of the Sydenham clay, but I don't know if that's particular to this park. I think anywhere that you go, you have to learn to work with what you have. So it's been a learning experience, and but one good thing about it is that you see the rewards at the end of the day, because you're able to irrigate or fertigate, which is fertilizing through the irrigation system. So you're getting closer. I see myself inching closer and closer to the point where I'll get optimal yields, which is what every farmer wants. Everything that I produce goes to food processors. And the particular processor that I sell to, 90% of their output is exported. So I like to think that I'm a part of that whole chain that is earning foreign exchange for the country. I plant only hot peppers. I'm trying this year to try and stretch myself and learn other things. So I'm hoping on the boundaries I've created little areas where I'm going to do some experimentation. But for now, I'm only doing hot peppers and specifically Scotch bonnet. I've set myself the challenge of trying to master that, because of the two types that we grow here in Jamaica, that definitely is the most demanding one. So still going up the learning curve. I think the reason why I settled on peppers is because you can sell it. You don't have to scratch your head and wonder where you're going to sell it. Because most of the processors have back orders, export orders. And in fact, we've found ourselves in the situation in Jamaica where processors have to import pepper mash. So you will never, ever have a problem selling your product. If you never went to farm school, if you don't really have experience, try to get into a situation where people are readily accessible to give you that encouragement, not just advice, technical advice, but also encouragement, because sometimes you may go through a little period where you feel, wow, is this really worth it? And that support is valuable. But that's one thing. In terms of practical advice, don't go anywhere without water. Just don't go anywhere without water. That's the mistake I made. And the second thing is try to farm reasonably close to where you live. Another mistake that I made, because how often you go to your farm, the hours you put in, it shows. The further away you live, you try and cut corners here and cut corners there, and it will show.
When you come to Amityville, there are a few things. There are things here that can help to foster your production. One, we have a team of stakeholders working together to cater to your needs. We have the RAD extension officers, we have the persons from NIC, we have the team from AIC. We also have a group of farmers that are willing to work together to help to move the produce not from the ground to the plate.
Did you know that the EU has been doing a lot of work in Jamaica? The EU provided some 23 billion Jamaican dollars to help people living in sugar-dependent areas. This means new houses for sugar estate workers, rehabilitated roads, improved schools, health centers, vocational training, business grants, and a wide range of action to improve the lives of people in sugar-dependent areas.
Life sweeter for you with the EU.
On the eve of his official funeral, we pause now to pay tribute to the late Kenneth Lee O'Neill Baugh, political giant and true humanitarian.
His life's work stands as an example to all.
Dr. Baugh was really a gentleman.
A man of great honor, integrity, dignity, great Jamaican.
Dr. Ken Baugh represented the best of Jamaica.
Kenneth Lee O'Neill Baugh was born on February 24, 1941 in the parish of St. James. His early years saw him attending Springfield Primary School and Cornwall College. He later advanced to the University of the West Indies, UWI, where he studied medicine, becoming a surgeon by profession. During his medical career, Dr. Baugh was Senior Registrar in General Surgery and Cardiothorax Surgery at the University Hospital of the West Indies. He was also consultant surgeon at the Cornwall Regional Hospital, where he later became the Senior Medical Officer and Chairman of the Professional Doctors at the hospital. A humanitarian at heart, Dr. Baugh gave of his time and service as a physician to care for others, a trait he continued when he entered politics. Dr. Baugh was a member of the Jamaica Labour Party and served as a Member of Parliament for North West St. James between 1980 and 1987, and as Member of Parliament for West Central St. Catherine from 1997 until his retirement in 2015.
He is most fondly remembered for being always available as a medical practitioner, day, night, anytime at all, to provide support for his constituents in the medical field, whether they could afford it or not. In fact, most of the times, totally free. Dr. Baugh represented the St. Catherine West Central constituency with distinction.
In that same constituency, Dr. Ken Baugh advocated for farmers and established a revolving loan scheme with the National People's Cooperative Bank, providing sustainable financial assistance. He also facilitated the distribution of power lines in communities and the electrification of homes through the Rural Electrification Program. Another legacy of Dr. Baugh is that he championed the distribution of potable water in Kingston town and its environs. In politics, Dr. Baugh also served as Minister of Health from 1980 to 1989 and made great strides in advocating several health policies. Some of these include bilateral agreements that improved the primary healthcare system, streamlining systems for the procurement and distribution of drugs and supplies, and increasing the number of dental clinics to deal with oral health. He also collaborated with tertiary institutions to facilitate the expansion of manpower training at the basic and post-basic level. Other positions held by the statesman were Minister of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade, and for a short period, interim leader of the opposition. This was when the late former Prime Minister Edward Seaga was stepping down as head of the Jamaica Labour Party, and former Prime Minister Bruce Golding was in waiting for confirmation as the new leader.
The question was, during the interregnum, who would be the leader of the opposition? And by consensus, all MPs at the time, including myself, agreed that we could entrust this position to Ken Baugh.
Committed to service, Dr. Baugh was also Deputy Prime Minister of Jamaica and a Senator, as well as General Secretary and Chairman of the Jamaica Labour Party.
It was marked by his calmness, yet firmness, and how he was able to bring contending sides together without damage to the organization. He was able to settle a lot of disputes in a calm, reasonable fashion that only a Dr. Baugh could do.
Dr. Baugh also crossed the political divide to ensure Jamaica's best interests were represented.
When I became Minister of Health in April 2006, he gave me about an hour after all the members left an overview of the Ministry of Health.
As opposition spokesman on foreign affairs and foreign trade at that time, I brought to this House a resolution on Cuba, and Dr. Baugh and myself sat together and worked through the resolution, making some minor adjustments, but he offered a solution to what all of us knew was the correct thing to do, but it was taking on a partisan flavor.
This non-partisan position transcended to his advocacy of the most vulnerable in society.
The situation, Mr. Speaker, of children being denied birth certificates because of the parents' inability to pay hospital fees must be discontinued. This practice makes a mockery of our agonized cries regarding the rights of a child. We must never underestimate the respect for our rights and freedoms of our citizens, but also the responsibility we have to create a paradigm within which everybody operates.
He also spoke firmly of productivity as a means to drive economic growth.
This is a challenge to us now, to utilize the assistance available, to build capacity and to modernize our production, to increase that component of industrial activity in terms of our gross domestic product.
Dr. Baugh retired from representational politics in 2015 after 30 years due to ill health. In 2016, he was conferred with the Order of Jamaica for his distinguished service to Parliament, public service, and for his contribution to medicine. After battling with poor health, Dr. Baugh died on September 1, 2019. He was 78 years of age. He is survived by his wife Vilma and 3 children, Melanie, Warren, and Gregory.
Good men must die, but death cannot kill their names.
Dr. Ken Baugh is hailed by his colleagues as the consummate professional who gave the better part of his life in service for the people he represented and his country.
He said very sharply and distinctly, "I will never migrate." It was like a final commitment. He'd never migrate. And he'd do whatever it is to help the people of his country and to make Jamaica a better place.
I think his reputation for decency and goodwill earned him the respect of all his colleagues within the House on all sides.
He was not about power. He was about service. And that is, to me, the signal marker of his integrity.
So, since we've been talking much about a simplified business process, let's keep the narrative going and explore a few of the software or applications that have revolutionized the business environment. The first one, Google Docs and Dropbox. These are some of the best ways to collaborate and share documents with colleagues and store business information in a personal cloud storage. Number 2, Adobe PDF. Now, this is a file format that has captured all the elements of a printed document as an electronic image that you can view, navigate, print, or forward to others. Third, a VPN. This provides secure connections between private networks linked through the internet. VPN allows you to be at home and access your company's computers in the same way as if you were right there at work. Number 4, Wi-Fi. This allows mobile users to work from just about anywhere. Wi-Fi can allow workers to tap into wireless printers or even exchange files over a network. Now, I'm sure that just by using these things at work, you'd have realized that they all help in shaping Jamaica to be the place of choice to live, work, raise families, and without a doubt, do business. So we're closing the book for today, but that's only to make way for a new edition tomorrow. And if you missed any of today's happenings, you can watch it all again on our website or our YouTube channel. You can also follow the JIS team on our Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter pages. On behalf of the entire production team, I'm Theodore Henry. Take care.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.